PARALLAX-SHIFT.com.
Oh, hi, I'm M. Henry Jones, and I'm here at the Penumbra Foundation, just talking a little bit briefly about some of the work I did with Roger de Montebello and the Globus brothers and a team of people in New York that have been working with me for years to create a type of three-dimensional photography called Fly's Eye 3D. And the Penumbra people were nice enough to come by my place and help me go through some archival material, and we kind of showed up with some stuff I hadn't seen in a long time, like an article. There's not much out there on integral photography, but this one SMPTE journal has the famous Dudley article, which is where he does a different type of 3D, but very similar to what we were doing in 1983 with Roger de Montebello at Globus. And these are really great drawings to look at. And I actually, oddly enough, found the whole package of the SMPTE journals in a dumpster. And I thought, is that really what that looks like? And I was looking through it, and it was like a dozen magazines. And then I was just about ready to put it back because I didn't really necessarily think that Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers would be having an article on anything I'd be interested in. And I just read down a couple, and it said a new development in autostereoscopic photography. And I was just like, okay, well, I'll grab the whole box. And I brought them home, and the only one in it was the one I had. So I kept it, and I still have it. And I look at it, but Roger had recommended that I not look at it, because he didn't think that it was as good as the work that we were already doing.
Why was he thinking that?
Probably because he didn't have hexagonal interstices, and there's a number of improvements that Roger had made.
Okay.
That, but you got to give the guy credit. He got published,
But what was the difference? So basically, it was the lens difference, like the hexagonal lens that you guys developed, and this guy didn't have it.
That you could simplify it to that point.
Okay.
But,
yeah, I'm trying.
yeah, it could be simplified down that much. Because people say that it looks okay when you do it with squares, but
Oh, so that was a square format where they.
no, he actually was
Okay.
circles.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I have this, and I held on to it, and I still look at it because sometimes you can never tell what you're going to really pick up from when I read the articles, because I'm not a physicist, and I'm not a optical engineer or any of those things, but I know about light, and I know about images, and I've been trying to get light to make images for me since I was about 13.
Okay.
And it's strange, the stuff that I didn't study in order to have enough time to do what I did study.
Right.
But anyway, that being said, we have it, the SMPTE journal, and then in between the times that I worked on Fly's Eye photography, which is what I'm going to be talking about right now, I did a lot of work with stereo photography, and then I did, for a good while, I did round stereo photography, so that you would be able to have the images would not have what they call the puppet theater effect, which is when you're looking at a 3D photo and you see it's in a box and it looks like the person's been captured inside the box. It doesn't feel like the person is real, even though it is real. It seems like it's real to your vision, but there's something about it.
I think that's
It's
called the
not.
cardboarding effect.
Yeah, I've heard that. That's another
Something
name
like
for
that.
it. But
So what did you mean by capturing round stereo images?
what I mean is that if you make a round image, you can make it slightly bigger, and you can have the peripheral, and you bring it closer to your eyes. The peripheral vision is fooled into thinking that you're seeing the whole room.
Are you speaking of a round image as in just like the edges of the photo, like that it's in a square composition versus a circular composition? Or are you actually talking about like using something like a fisheye type of lens to capture more of okay.
A fisheye type of effect.
Okay. That's different then. Okay.
You don't have to necessarily make the lenses more round, although that is what I did. I took the viewer, which was a Keystone plastic viewer that was something that you would use in the 50s. It didn't really change much. You know, they sold them has a pig jumping through the hoop.
Okay.
And there's 2 or 3 other images that were famous for, you know, when you get your eyes tested.
Yes. Yeah.
You
You could
know,
look. Yeah.
It's a simple plastic stereopticon. It's like a Wheatstone. It's made out of plastic. And I would grind the back of it down with sandpaper to bring the focus closer, so you could. And then I glued meniscus lenses to it. Biconvex.
Okay.
And then it would image the image. It would make it focus on your retina in the same way it's supposed to, because we brought it closer.
That's so you're relensing basically like already like available thing. That's so you're basically making your lens fit the capture method that you're using for that.
Yes.
Okay.
But the thing is that was strange about it was that at that point I had done a lot of studying on. I made a Pinhole 3D 4x5 camera, which I had worked on literally for one night. I was sitting there, I said, wouldn't that be cool if we could just strap a wooden frame to this 4x5 film holder and then put a pinhole on it. I bet we could make, if we put 2 pinholes, we could make a stereo image. It would be round. And so, and then I said, no, that'll never work. And I just slid it over to, because I was working on my Apple Heart Daisy movie, which is a movie project that I was spending most of my time on. But now and then I would switch out, and I switched out long enough to get this thing mostly made. And then my friend Angelo came over and says, what is that? And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, well, no, what is that? Well, it's a stereo pinhole thing. And he says, how are you going to do the pinholes? I says, well, I was told that you take the Museum of Natural History. They have the little pin with the fold over.
Yes.
And you cut the tab off of it, and then you measure to the center, and then you just hit it with you get a piece of foam core, and you hit the little pin with the fold over pin.
Yeah.
You hit it with an awl.
Okay.
And then you stand the other side.
Okay.
And then you hit it with the awl again, you stand the other side. And you keep doing that
Until you get a pinhole.
until you get the pinhole, and you can actually change the size. And I had some pretty high, pretty powerful magnifying lenses around.
Okay.
So we were looking at it, and then we got 2 of them where they were pretty much the same size.
Okay.
And they were really small.
Yes, and I like, and that's the whole sanding part, is actually to get it to like to the edge of the metal to metal.
Yeah, well, you get them so that the edges are even.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that what you do is, I left out a step. You use a silver push pin.
Okay.
Really hard push pins, and you push it, and then just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
And it pushes that material around, and then you push the push pin in a circle like this, and then you sand it.
Yeah.
And then at some point you stop, and
You actually have
it's
them,
pretty good to stop sooner than later, because it starts
getting too it
yeah, it
expands
gets
too
too
big,
big
yeah.
really quick.
Yeah.
Right, so anyway, we got 2 that are the same size, put them in the viewer, and then we actually just kind of eyeballed it. I just said, well, they just kind of if we wanted to be out here, you know, I don't know. And we figured it out like that, and then really just guessing. And then we took a couple pictures. You know what I mean? No. Then my friend Angelo just like taped the whole thing together. The entire camera was taped to the film holder.
Okay.
And it was just made out of like balsa. It was like, you know,
slapped together.
Really slapped together. But we took it out and took a picture with it, and I was like, wow, look at that. So then.
But did you use film in it, like, or were you just?
Yeah, film, 4x5,
Okay.
E6 transparency film.
Okay.
And yeah, that was the thing that we used for a lot of Ektachrome. You know,
Yeah.
for a lot of stereo stuff. If you couldn't get Kodachrome, if whatever.
Yeah.
But we shot Ektachrome, and
Yeah.
it came out great.
Ektachrome's great, yeah.
And then I had built this viewer after we got the Pinhole thing going.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we started to realize that we had the round images and we could make them bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So then we did all that, and then we ended up with an 8x10 inch camera that had two synchro lens.
Pinholes.
No, not Pinhole. We've left the Pinhole
Oh, okay,
world.
excuse me.
Now we're working with Copal shutters
What's
for. It's a standard shutter that took either it was not all the shutters will take a quick release or like an air release, because what we wanted to do is we wanted to air release two shutters at the same time. This is after we did the whole Pinhole thing.
Okay.
But the Pinhole thing was we blew them up and got transparencies made that were bigger, so we were able to rough in, you know, the right kind of size it would be when we went and did the 8x10.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up having these two shutters that we had figured out, 8x10 camera, you know, that was the wooden back off of you know, like a Seneca or any type of 8x10 back. It's always square, so you can turn.
Yeah, you can turn it both ways.
Right, and so we worked with that. Me and my father and I, in his basement one time, I went home on vacation. I said, well, look, I got these two shutters, and we had gotten these air releases that were really nice from Switzerland. There was a ball, and you squeeze it, and it makes a shutter fire.
Yeah, like a bolt shutter.
And what we did was we put like we brought pipe, you know, I bought the unit, and then I threw the pipes away, and I used aquarium tubing, and we made a Siamese, so you could
so dual
squeeze
connector.
the one lens,
Yes,
and both lenses would fire.
got you.
I thought, well, that's happening.
Little
That's
light
coming
connector.
together.
Yeah.
So then, what I did was at that point I was becoming very interested in zone plate photography, which
Okay.
is something that you get to either before or after you do Pinhole.
Okay.
But I happened to have been doing Pinhole a little while, and I saw that they had this. It was invented by Sir Walter Raleigh. Was having trying to get his lighthouses to make a further reach out into the sea, so they wanted to have more light. And so they were making these bigger lenses. And it was before Fresnel.
Yes.
Fresnel showed up, who was French and was on the same side with Sir Walter Raleigh and wanted to help him. And he had this idea of making the Fresnel lens. But prior to that, they made zone plate lenses,
Really?
which were these giant targets that were made by using acid etching
Okay.
these rings and then filling them with lead, because when the lead got hot, it would go into the glass, but it wouldn't make it explode, which is the reason that they couldn't make the lenses bigger, because they would explode. So before they figured out to only use the face of the lens, in order to use it to make the Fresnel, they made these zone plates,
Okay.
which were used in the lenses of their lighthouses for a brief while.
So these are like giant, these are actually like physical, because the only thing I know about zone plates was what you were telling me before, Sam, was like that they were made out of like basically like film, basically.
Yeah, that's the way they're made today.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I didn't even know that zone plates came in like a physical, like manufactured, like, you know, poured glass format.
Where was our book? Didn't we have a book?
That's that. Well,
Where's my
I was
book? Someone
unaware of
stole
that.
my book.
You didn't steal your books.
Someone
Over here.
fucking stole my book. Come on. It's right here. No, here we go. Here we
Which
go.
one? You got
Oh,
it?
this is it. Okay. I'm sorry. We're good here.
I hid it
says,
from you.
Instructions for making and using pinhole cameras. Right?
All right.
If you have this, you're ahead of the game. Okay? Because it gets complicated. But this happens to be the 20th issue of the Pinhole Journal.
All right.
Which was my all-time favorite magazine that they ever came out with. And this one is all about zone plates and how to make them work, and it was very interesting.
Yeah, this is absolute news. Like I only just recently found out about zone plates, even very recently, like probably about like half a year ago. And from what I knew, that they were just manufactured from like basically like a photo, like a photo
A
process.
high contrast,
Yeah.
much like a piece of type would have been made in the 70s.
Okay.
You know, they photographically, guys.
Yes,
would
correct,
live,
correct.
These guys would live in they would rent out like a bathroom essentially, because they had a lot of water there to rinse the prints and that. And you'd see them sleeping in these weird buildings uptown. You know, they would have like one of these machines that had all the type on it.
Yeah.
What was it?
Like a
Photo
die cast.
typositing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And this guy would be like sleeping in a chair, waiting for the phone to ring. Hello. Oh, yeah. And someone would give him a few bits of type.
Yeah.
Because they've changed the heading on the newspaper.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like Mr.
He's on call.
And then he jumps on, gets on his bike and runs it over. You know what I mean? And now that's just like one of the many.
But what you were talking
photo
about before, like
jobs.
how they were.
Here's a pretty good one.
That's the first type of image that I've ever seen that I related to zone plate. We'll take close-up pictures.
Okay. So anyway, by that time, we're using zone plate. We're trying it. We've never had one.
Okay.
This one's supposed to be I don't remember the exact dimensions, let's say 1.5 from the back. So I took a vernier, a measuring tool, and dropped it in and put the film in the holder, a piece of film that was already been shot.
Okay.
And then dropped this thing down, like a measuring tool.
Yeah.
Pulled it out and then
Got the
figured
power.
out where this was supposed to be for it to be in focus.
Correct.
And then I took that, because when you could buy these, and you would tell them, whatever
What
was
magnification
what magnification you wanted. So I got 2 of these and put them in, and then I realized in the store I was buying a Nikon lens cap, and the Nikon lens cap would drop right into, it was like a type where you push it together and the spring opens it, and then you release it and it clicks in.
I think that's like all lens caps.
Yeah, well, no, lens caps you screw. And
Oh,
there's a number
okay.
of
True.
but-
You're right.
Okay, this one was a click-in type. And so I measured the center of each, and I, did the trick where you take the X-Acto knife and put it and spin it, and then it goes through the plastic in the center and you spin it.
All right.
And you keep doing all that. And then you make the hole slightly bigger, then you center this on it, the actual, and I remember thinking, is this gonna work, I was like taping it in, and then we taped the whole camera body. So we had the back of the camera, we had my dad's fish tank pipes and all that,
Okay,
We had the ball with
bulb
the fire release, and things are firing at the same time, and you can hold it down. And I was told, I forget what the f-stop was. It was something crazy. But I remember if I held it down for 3.5 seconds, it would supposedly.
That was the exposure.
Yeah. And so we did that, and then we drove to Rochester. I was at my parents' house, and they lived on Lake Ontario, so it wasn't so far away. We drove to Rochester, and then my father looks at the picture, and there's a faint image. And if you know anything about you know, film, you know, that is extra chrome film, if you has very, very no leniency in the exposure.
Okay.
I mean, if you have anything, you're almost there.
Okay.
And I'm showing somebody, oh, look at that, we got a picture. And he's just like, what? It was all orange and yellow. And, but you can see, we took a picture of this whitey truck that, because it was a cool looking truck. And so some guy had made it into their house, like for the little kids.
Wait,
You know what I
with
mean?
the truck?
This whitey truck, they
Okay.
bolted it onto the side of the barn. And I thought that's a weird makeshift house. It's a good subject, you know, so we took the picture on the way.
Yeah.
And then we get there and we process the picture. And this, meanwhile, my father drives me to Rochester and back, which is like, you know, like 2.5
Yeah,
hours.
that's a long
Yeah.
drive.
Right. So, and he's just completely disillusioned with the whole thing. He said, just take it to New York. I took it to New York and I just, you know, changed the exposure very minorly and just nailed it.
Okay.
But,
What was
and
your
then
exposure time
we
on
had
it?
the,
Do you remember?
what was this?
What was the exposure time that you nailed on it?
Oh, not much. It's F82.
Okay.
So then that was a constant, the F82. So the exposure would wander between
Okay.
like 1 second and
Depending on the lighting conditions
Yeah,
and everything like that.
depending,
Okay.
So so then this is what Henry's doing, Henry's doing.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time that, you know, we're not working on the 3D.
Okay.
We put that down for a while. We were making a film called a non-linear film project called The Apple Heart Daisy, which was
Okay.
not actually a film as much as it was a very involved and yet to be finished and is very safely kept. 196 tiny loops, some not so tiny.
Okay.
And they all work together in sync. But this was like a diversion
Yes.
from my maniacal approach to making all these airbrush background paintings and everything. So, and then we have here the best article, the best magazine that the Pinhole Journal ever did, which is the one about Flinders Petrie, who was, he had this really cool pinhole camera that was not stereoscopic at all. But you gotta give the guy credit for photographing,
Yeah, you should have seen amazing images in there.
photographing, you know, the monuments of Egypt before they were disturbed by anybody. And the photos are really, really good. I mean, that's pretty much killer.
Well, we'll take close-ups of these, yeah.
So Flinders, yeah, it's funny how like someone remembers him enough. Someone got this together, you know what I mean? I actually met that guy, and that was not the last time I spoke to him. It's a story that I wouldn't want anyone to tell about me, but it could easily happen. That I just said, oh shit, that's that guy's phone number. Because
Oh my God.
I had done a zone plate. We were working together on a project.
Okay.
It almost came together, but then it didn't quite sift out. And so I called him on the phone. I says, oh, how you doing? This is M. Henry. So, M. Henry Jones. Oh my God, what's been going on? I was like, talking. And I said, how are things that you're doing? How's the pinhole business? How's pinhole photography these years? How are you getting through all this electronic stuff? And the guy burst into tears.
Oh no!
I have never seen, I was just like, whoa,
Oh, no.
he's not liking it.
Oh no!
It was
That's
sad.
awkward. Oh yes.
Really sad. And I do hope that he didn't cry every day, because he was definitely upset.
Wow.
But he was happy that I called him,
Yes.
because I guess that a lot of people don't do pinhole photography because it's one of these kind of weird things that doesn't exactly come together
Yeah. It has.
with digital.
It has a very niche uprising right now. There's a lot of people like rediscovering it. I want to say it's pretty popular actually, as far as niche processes or capture processes go. But I mean, of course, it's nothing like, you know, nothing like it was I'm sure, but it was the only option.
Wow.
I mean, never.
Not the only option. Well, an option.
Maybe like the prehistoric
The
time.
prehistoric, yeah.
When it had like a hole and a leaf and you know,
And you look at it
the
with your
sun would
paintball.
shine. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
in Plato's cave it was, I mean, you know.
Wow. So that was my thing about Flinders,
Okay.
PA tree. And literally one time, someone came to my studio on Avenue A, a woman who had a kid, and she brought a friend, and I showed the friend these magazines, and I said, oh, you know, I'd like you to take a look at them. These are for you, you know, because I heard that you're really interested in pinhole photography. I mean, you're not going to find these anywhere. And she's looking at it, and then like everybody leaves. It's like 5 in the morning. I'm like, where's my freaking magazine? You know what I mean? And I'm like, what happened? And then this girl stole them.
Oh, well. there
Right,
you
so
go.
then I called my friend up, like, well, it was 5 in the morning, says, oh,
Where's that girl?
apparently, by the way, your friend seemingly walked away with, I'm sure it was a mistake, but I need to get those back, like, in the next
Now.
36 hours before, you know, because I would get upset if I lost them.
Of course, I would do.
You know, so they came back to me.
Oh, excellent.
And
Good,
that
good,
was-
good.
and they-
These-
she did
and here they
apologize.
are.
And here they are, exactly, and now we can like make a mud pie with the tape.
Yeah, stick it under the table. Perfect.
And here that brings us to,
And what magazine is this? Shows the cover?
this is our article on stereo 3D
Yep.
that you can do with 2 cameras that you find at the flea market,
Yep.
which is not as easy as it used to be to get the cameras.
We have a couple of people that the guy, this kid Matt, he's usually here. He's making a couple of box camera rigs actually.
Oh, nice.
So he's gonna be very
Yeah.
interested in seeing this.
Yeah, I have, there's a
Yep.
box camera
Yep.
picture. These are, anyway, we use box camera type plastic camera, actually not plastic, my favorite, all-time favorite camera in the world, which is the Brownie Holiday,
Is that your favorite?
which
Okay.
is also the Brownie Flash, which is also, it's a number of incarnations, but it was the first lens, the first camera that had a plastic lens, and it had a bakelite body, and the back of the lens, the back of the body was curved
Okay.
to compensate for the lesser quality lens.
Yeah, I know those.
And like that to me takes the meanest photo of all. It takes 127, which is a very highly regarded film stock in the 50s. You know what I mean? That it was a lot like 35 millimeter, but I believe it was they didn't have the same sprocket hole use, so it got a little bit more image material out of it. And it was my favorite
It's
is
about
the
4.5 centimeters.
You still have some 127.
Yeah,
right?
I have a little bit.
Yeah.
of the
127,
yeah, that's good. Yeah, but anyway, we took 2 of those cameras and just taped them together with their bottoms together.
Yep.
And we took a picture.
How'd you shutter those?
Oh, you just have to, my girlfriend, Rachel, she actually was able to do this, and I only showed her a couple, I said, don't screw this up because this is like the whole thing. And you just have to push them in.
So you just figure sync them at the same time?
You finger sync them at the same time,
Okay.
correct. And we showed Rachel how to do that. We talked a little bit about it. She says, I've got this.
Yeah.
And then she used the pinhole, the box, the Bakelite camera duo set to take this picture
And that's
of
a view.
me with the 8x10 camera that was the result of all this work we did with the 4x5 and the zone plate. And this camera here resides in my basement in a very good environment
Good.
where it's not damp. And the viewer, which we made for it, which is very tripped out, is upstairs. Not here, but upstairs at my house.
Okay.
And the people, like the guy from Rochester, no, the guy from Toronto, when I did my show in Buffalo, we invited this gallery owner from Toronto that had bought some photos from a film I made. It's called Soul City. It's another whole story. But he looked at that viewer and he said, you know, Henry, I gotta tell you, I've never seen anything like this before. Because the images were made with the zone plate, and we never really got to the thing about the zone plate that everyone likes, or what makes it something to follow, or what makes it important or interesting, is that it creates like a diffraction grating for the lens. So everything in the room is kind of blurry, but not. It's like sort of like tripping.
How does it act with light? Like how diffraction's
Well,
like just like diffract light?
Obviously, if you're taking a picture when the sun is coming down,
Yeah.
you're getting more rays. It can be crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
I took a picture. My favorite picture I ever took was off of a bridge, looking at the water, and you had these water was moving around, and the light was falling on it.
Yeah.
And I took this pinhole photo, and it was a time exposure, but very short.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa,
Okay.
a mind blower. You know what I mean? Because it takes the whole room and turns it into like fractals in a way,
Okay.
and makes it like very colorful and very tripped out.
Yeah, like the diffraction grating, but
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Like I mean, that's
It's like having a diffraction
exactly
grating. It's a target.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We're gonna have to see that picture one day.
Oh yeah, well that's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, boom.
we just to go take the wrapped in saran wrap.
Okay. Great.
So the images don't get dirty.
Great.
'Cause,
Can't
and then,
wait.
but anyway, well, if you want to go back in time a little bit,
That's back in time.
there, it's not back in time. For some people, it could be a whole new event. And there is actually there's a camera that was used to take that photo.
Okay. Yeah. We'll take pictures up close of these definitely. And you'll have to point
Okay.
that out to me. So
And
we'll
so here's my
that's
article on taking photos with the cameras that you find at the flea market. And then in there is a picture of my zone plate 8x10 camera.
Yep.
And so
And what magazine is that? Show us.
this
show us
is
the
called
magazine.
Proof Magazine.
Mhm.
My friend made it. He's from San Francisco. Very wonderful good gentleman. And we 3D photography right there.
Cool.
And so we were gonna jump to Fly's Eye.
Sure.
We
Give us
spent-
one. Yeah. Let's jump to Fly's Eyes. I'm gonna stop this for a second, and we'll go back to it in 1 second. Hold on.
Okay, I can pee then. Huh?
Perfect.